All right, everyone, it's time for Vermont Issues, episode 114. After 2 years and $3 million, guess how many inmates have actually received treatment in our prison for opiate addiction? Just take a wild guess. It's 11 people. Yeah, money well spent. See, this is the problem. This is why everything is expensive in Vermont. There's no real attempt to make sure that things actually work out. What they do is they get some idea in the state house. The governor gets some bright idea. The legislature cooks something up. Some group comes before the state government, says, oh, well, we want to fund this and that and the other thing. And they say, well, maybe we can fund it. Maybe the federal government has funded it. This was a federal grant in this case. And they get the bright idea, but they never actually lay out, well, how is this actually going to be efficient and effective? They just think that if you throw money at something, that it solves all problems. They've been doing this with education for years. The teachers, in some school will complain and picket, or, the educational system itself is like, oh, we need more money, we need a bigger budget, because, reasons. Things keep getting more expensive. The class size keeps shrinking. Number of kids in most of these schools keeps going down. And yet they keep needing more teachers. They keep needing more money and more supplies and more everything else. Why don't we just go to a system where you've got one fucking person teaching every fucking kid in the state? We might as well do that at some point because, we're going to approach that anyway. The average class size, I think now is, it's down to 12 kids? Like in a lot of states, you have 30, 40 people in the average classroom. And I know that can be a problem too because you can't really allocate enough time to each student. But I think we've gone a little too far in the other direction, honestly, at this point, and begun to become less efficient. It doesn't help that you have a bunch of administrators. You probably have as many administrators in some of these schools as you do teachers, which makes no sense. So I'm not surprised looking at this, that the program has fallen apart, because they took the money and they said, well, we're going to give inmates addiction treatment. Then they make it so legalistic it makes it impossible for them to access it. And that really becomes the problem. Now, the state of Vermont needs to strip things down, get rid of some of the fucking red tape. Things would be so much more efficient right away. It would make things so much better. And yeah, occasionally, if you don't have a bunch of legalism, something happens and, even though your overall efficiency is so much higher, somebody like gets an arm lopped off. You would think of a factory. If you have no protection for your workers, yeah, at some point some mistake happens. But if you go in the other direction too far, eventually those workers don't have to worry about being protected because that factory will be quite bankrupt. You have to be able to strike some sort of middle ground there. The state of Vermont has gone way off into la-la land to the point where $3 million from the federal government is given to try to treat people's addiction. Now, you'd think that could treat more than 11 people. You'd think it would be fairly simple, and some of those people in prison, and it's some minor charge. They're going to be there for 90 days, 120 days or something. They happen to be addicted to some sort of drug. Get them treatment. Get them somehow. Do what you can for them, and the crime rate overall will fall. Maybe that's the problem. The prison complex they want to keep making money. So, of course, they won't do the most obvious thing, which is, hey, we could end the drug war, divert all that funding to addiction treatment. It wouldn't even matter if it was kind of inefficient in some parts of the country. It would still be vastly successful because of the amount of money you'd be able to allocate. And hey, police officers, they wouldn't get shot at all the time during a no-knock raid. And they could go and police things that matter, like they could go and crack some wife-beater's skull or something, instead of worrying about some fucking hippie all the time. That would be the most obvious solution, but, far beyond us to actually think of such a thing. Now, our idiot governor won't even legalize marijuana. We're being left behind the curve. And then we're talking about this bullshit inefficiency. So when he announced these other new programs, he says, oh, this new treatment facility's opened. Oh, we're going to hire more staff. Oh, the budget will increase for addiction treatment. We'll get some new equipment. Well, then how am I supposed to have hope that it's going to actually solve any of the problem in our state with the opiate crisis when I'm hearing this, that after 2 fucking years, 11 inmates got treatment? Now, how many of those over the next few years are going to relapse too? Probably about half of them, statistically speaking. Well, there's your other problem. What have we accomplished? Okay, 5, 6 people now are clean. Wonderful. Yeah, only cost $3 million to do that. It would have been better to just buy $3 million worth of pot and give it to them. Let the inmates smoke up so that they don't want other drugs as much. Be like, yeah, you can get high off the weed as much as you want, but if we find you with anything else, we'll throw you in fucking solitary confinement or rip out one of your lungs or something. Make you a total freak. That's about all. Peace out.